Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Wednesday, the 15th of January. It is match day, of course. Rangers taking on Aberdeen this evening at Ibrox. Chris Jack joins me to discuss that match and all in between. How's it going, Chris?
Oh, good. Interesting to see how things go tonight. You can't really predict. I think it's becoming slightly easier to predict Philippe Clement starting 11s. Still difficult to predict Rangers' performances and results at present. So, no, a big game. Obviously, Aberdeen coming to Ibrox always carries a wee bit extra spice, if you like. So, now looking forward to getting back there tonight.
Yeah, as Stevie said yesterday when I was on with him, it's their World Cup final. So you can imagine it'll be well up for this game, despite being on a really poor run of form. I mean, they haven't won in 11 games in the league, which is quite unbelievable given the start that they had to the league campaign. They have fallen off a cliff. But yeah, Rangers will be looking to steer clear of Aberdeen, who are in the chasing pack. Of course, they're currently fourth. Dundee United have overtaken them as well, and it's an opportunity given last night to sort of eat into the gap a little bit. Dundee doing a good job last night against Celtic, a 3-3 draw in the end there. It looked likely that they could be going on to get their first win over Celtic in God knows how many years. But yeah, a late penalty rescuing a point for them. But a big opportunity tonight for Rangers to keep that home record going. Chris, the home form has been good. You've got to say the home form has been what we expect from a Rangers team that are in a title race. We all know why they're so far back at this moment in time, but at home, sometimes the performances haven't been great. I mean, the second half of the game at the weekend wasn't great by any matter of means, but they're generally a different animal at home as opposed to away from home.
Certainly, in terms of the results, I think it's a 31 from 33 now in terms of the points. They have been able to win these matches, which of course is the most important thing. But some of the performances have not been at the level expected and demanded over the course of the season. There have been a number of really poor halves in there, some fairly poor overall 90 minutes. Rangers not winning these games as comfortably as they should do. There's been a few times we've done live post-match shows straight on the whistle, or I've done them with Josh after the pressers, and we've been talking about Rangers being a bit lacklustre and being a bit slow and not really having that creativity, not scoring the goals that we expected. So that's perhaps nitpicking a wee bit, but I think the home fans haven't exactly had value for money this season in terms of entertainment. The away fans have certainly not had any value for any of their money over the course of the season. So I think Rangers could really do it with that. Also, they want to win the game. I think that's the most important thing. But I think they certainly owe the fans a performance as well. Even St Johnstone, also all the off pitch issues kind of took over and that kind of dominated the agenda. They scored 3 good goals in quick succession, and then it flattened out and it became really slow again. Became a bit pedestrian. I'm not saying they have to go gung-ho for the full 90 minutes, but if they could put in a 90 minutes performance that's got a bit more energy and a bit more endeavour and a bit more creativity and all the things that we've spoken about over the course of the season, that would certainly be a positive. I don't think Aberdeen will be as weak defensively as St Johnstone were there. St Johnstone played into Rangers' hands and lost three really poor goals, and that was the game done. You expected Rangers to go and win by more, couldn't quite do it. The second half was a bit of a non-event. Aberdeen won't allow Rangers to have that, to get that kind of foothold in the game. But as you mentioned, they are not in good form. That night up at Pittodrie when Rangers fell even further behind them feels like such a long time ago for both respective managers and sets of players, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. They have made some interesting signings at Aberdeen. They've got a young lad, especially from Spurs. There was a bit of a clamour to get him from teams down south. So I think the lad Dorrington, I think his name's centre half, which I think will be a good acquisition for them. They've added another a couple of players as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they line up tonight. Jimmy Killeen will be looking at any. I think you'll be looking at blooding them from the off, given their poor run of form at this moment. But we're here to talk about Rangers, of course, and how Rangers will line up. We'll bring up our two lineups that we would like to see start the game a little later on. Before we do that, let's talk transfers, Chris. Because one player who has been heavily linked with a move to Ibrox is that of Dundee midfielder Lyall Cameron. Came off the bench last night for Dundee. 22 years of age, he's out of contract at Dens Park this summer, free to speak to other clubs about a move elsewhere, and Rangers really pushing for a deal just now. Whether that will be a pre-contract agreement or getting him in at this moment in time, I'm not too sure, but he's certainly a player Rangers are keen to get hold of, Chris.
And understandably so. He's not, perhaps not the biggest name. He's certainly not got the biggest frame on him. That's the only thing that puts me off. I'd like to see a bit more of a physical presence, not just in the Rangers midfield, but in general. It's not the biggest and most powerful squad that Rangers have assembled. So I would like to see that addressed. But that's not a reason to say don't go and sign Lyall Cameron. I think he's been really impressive. Anytime I've seen him, he's played well against Rangers previously, which suggests he can be at the level. It's maybe not the most high profile signing that's going to really get fans off their seats and get them excited. But you have to do deals like this. Sometimes you have to build up the squad. Obviously, it's homegrown, which is useful for a UEFA purpose as well. So I think he ticks a lot of boxes. I can see why Rangers are interested in him, and I think that one will happen. It seems everything is in place and everything is moving in the right direction. So I'm sure we'll get that one done at some point in terms of the pre-contract all being formalised and everything being put in place. And it'll then be how much the Rangers want to pay to get him now. Obviously, I've seen this situation before. You would imagine Dundee, as much as they don't want to lose a good player, they don't really want to have someone in their squad who's committed elsewhere. It would be good for him to come in and get 6 months at Ibrox ahead of the next season. So I think that one will happen in terms of the move longer term being sorted. And is then a case of can the clubs come to some agreement? So that will be the one that drags on late into deadline day, no doubt. And we'll be sitting on a live show waiting for a Rangers tweet to come out to say they've signed Lyall Cameron that we know has been done 3-4 weeks earlier. So that's how that will play out, no doubt. But I think he is a good player. I think it is a good sensible bit of business.
Yeah, it's whether, if Rangers want him now, Dundee, I'd imagine, will be looking for some sort of fee. It will be nominal given there's only a few months left on his deal, and whether they feel that now is the time just to cash in, get a little bit of money into the coffers up there at Dens Park, or just keep him until the summertime, depending on what their aspirations are. There's a comment that came in there saying hopefully brings more goals from midfield. That has been a bugbear of mine. It's been a issue for Rangers for many years now, Chris, about goals from midfield. They just simply don't score enough from that area of the pitch.
They don't score enough from lots of areas of the pitch, unfortunately. And that is a problem because they just don't share the goals around often enough. And that's not just this team, that has been previous sides in previous seasons as well. You always looked at your front players and whoever your main striker was. You then also looked at the right back in terms of what James Tavernier can produce. You look at over the seasons, the number of goals that Rangers score from midfield, as you say, certainly the number of goals that the centre half's got is nowhere near enough. So it is something that they do have to address. A goal scoring midfielder can just add such a different dynamic to a side. I think the two guys that have been playing there, Deal Mandy has been okay over the course of the season. Nothing worse than that. Certainly nothing better than that. We know that Nico Raskin has been really impressive. Has been really solid of late. He's clearly the first choice in that area. I know we've discussed Conor Barron at times as well. Rangers do need another body in there. They do need someone of a different profile. And as the comment says, Lyall Cameron does offer that a slightly more attacking threat, something that certainly Barron doesn't possess at all, something that Raskin perhaps could, but doesn't show off enough. That's not really his role and his his responsibility right now. You're looking at Diomande to provide more in that sense. And if you can get someone like Cameron to come in and chip in, even if it's only 4, 5, 6, 7 goals a season, score them at the right time, these can make a big difference overall.
Yes, for sure. Just this season in the Premiership, he's played 22 games. He scored 5 goals. He's got 4 assists to his name as Lyall Cameron. So certainly posting decent numbers, you've got to say, in a good Dundee side. Tony Docherty has certainly built a very capable side for the Scottish Premiership, and he'll be a big loss to Dundee, that's for sure, should he move on. And I think we've said it before, Rangers should have more Scottish boys in that team for me, guys that can contribute on a regular basis, and I would be open to that signing, I've got to say. Elsewhere, in terms of transfers, there was actually a comment coming in from David. He says, why didn't we go in for Dorrington? This is Alfie Dorrington, of course, I touched on. He's joined Aberdeen on loan from Spurs, made his Tottenham debut last month, came off the bench in a match against Southampton in the Premier League. Highly rated down there at Tottenham. He's a big lad, just 19 years of age, so he's still learning the game. But for me, I get this point. Should Rangers have went for Alfie Dorrington? I think they need, certainly, we all know they need a centre-half, Chris, but I'd be looking at bringing in someone on a permanent basis with the eye on next season. They need a big physical prowess guy in there, I feel, someone that's aerially dominant in the air, and someone they can rely upon when they go to places away from home in the Scottish Premiership. But Alfie Dorrington, are you surprised the club never made move? Or club never made a real effort to try and bring him to Ibrox?
I wonder if the Tottenham manager had a choice of you can go to Aberdeen or you can go to Rangers. I wonder if he would have had a quiet word in the boys' ear. He's not a player I know that much about, to be honest. So I couldn't tell you if he's going to be an improvement for Rangers, if he's going to be if they come in and being a first choice or not. You would imagine he will get at least some game time tonight. So interesting to get a look at him and see what he can do. I think we've touched on centre half over the last couple of weeks in terms of the profile. We're both in agreement that it has to be someone that's got that stature, that's a bit more physical, that is better in the air than what Rangers have. They do need a different type of centre half. A younger Leon Balogun comes to mind. Good that he is back in training. Also, the manager touched on that at his press conference yesterday. So Leon is back training. James Tavernier is back training. Too early, you would imagine, to come into the side tonight, and especially with what's happening next week with trips to Old Trafford and then Tannadice. For me, it doesn't make much sense to risk the two of them. But so for me, it's then going to be Nsiala and Robin Popper tonight. Is there an upgrade out there on both of them? You would imagine so. You would back the recruitment department to go and find someone that's a higher quality than them. But what type of deal is that? Is that going to be? I think when there's still so much on the table in terms of the manager's future and transfer budgets and the longer term vision of the club, I would be surprised if Rangers go and put a lot of money into a January signing. I think it'll be a loan. You'll get someone in just to fill a squad space, to help out. There's no point in going and putting a couple of £1 million into someone. They're not going to win the league. They're not going to finish third. They're not going to win the Europa League. As a centre half,
I've already booked my Airbnb for Bilbao, so take that back at once.
You'll be able to sell it to a Spaniard, because the Spanish team always usually gets the final. You'll be able to sell it to someone. I don't see the financial benefit or even the football benefit of Rangers putting a lot of money into a centre half this month. So I think it will be a lone one, just to give Rangers something, give the manager a body, try and give the squad a boost, and hopefully that boost comes at the same time as, like, Sir John Souttar finally coming back in the treatment room, clearing a wee bit.
Yeah, comment coming in there from Alan. We need a centre back with pace. Yeah, absolutely, someone that can hold their own up against tricky and fast-paced centre forwards would be ideal. James would point, any news on centre halves? We did report yesterday that Rangers were linked over the weekend with the Burnley defender Halmar Ekdal. It's not thought he's a live target at this moment in time. They are aware of him, but it's not thought talks are taking place with him just now. But there's been a number of centre backs that have been linked. I would have liked Rangers to have done business before now, I've got to be honest, but I get that it's a tough window, and players and targets that they're looking to get sometimes is bumps in the road, shall we say. Stephen with the point says, any news on departures? We do know that the club has held preliminary talks with potential suitors for Cyril Dessers. That aside, I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's any other players where there's been noise about leaving, Chris. There's not been much, has there?
No, it's all been quiet, unfortunately, because there are a number of the players there that Rangers do need to try and move on, either in this window or in the next one. The manager was asked about it yesterday, and he gave the same answer that he gave in terms of, are you any closer to incomings, and basically saying until something is signed and sealed and you've got the scarf over the head picture, then nothing is done. So it wasn't given much away. I think we all know the list of names that Rangers would be open to doing deals for. Cyril Dessers is obviously on that one. Look at players who have not contributed as much. I think it's something that Patrick Stewart touched on at the weekend, but he spoke to the press and he was adamant that Rangers would not sell players who are contributing right now. So obviously the conversation then turned to Hamza Agaman. You look at other players in that bracket. Rangers can't afford to lose the best players. They can't afford to lose good players. There are players in there who could be moved on, who would help bring the wage bill down, perhaps bring a wee bit of money back into the club that can then be reinvested elsewhere. So your Dessers is obviously the main one in that regard, but I think you can throw Matondo in there, you can throw Tom Lawrence in there, you can throw Kieran Dowell in there. Further down, you can also put Leon King in that bracket as well. So there are players, and that's before you get into like Devine and Lowry and some of the younger guys that will have to move on as well. So there's probably at least half a dozen or so there that if Rangers had their ideal transfer window, they would go and do Cameron, they would go and do a centre half, and they would get that six out the door just to bring the wage bill down. When there's a transfer window ever work that perfectly? It doesn't, unfortunately. So time will tell how long these unwanted players, I feel like, are these guys who are just not contributing as much. We'll see when they move on, but at some point Rangers need to try and bring the size of the squad down from these guys and try and bring the wage bill down as well, because we will need to move into this next phase of evolution of this group.
Yeah, just on transfers, the manager was quizzed yesterday, as Chris touched on. Are you any closer to adding players this window? I get this question already. How many? 7, 8 years now? It's always the same answer, because it's also the truth. What is close and what is far? You cannot say that in a transfer window. You only say something when something is signed, when somebody's in the building, when everything is done. And otherwise, it's always far away. So we made the analysis of the squad. We looked at players. We know what can be interesting for players for the club. It's now to see with the club if it's possible to get them. Pushed on it. He said he was quizzed. Is it likely 1 or 2 additions this window? Are you content with that? He said that every manager wants more. It's like that, but I'm focused on what's possible for the club and then to work with the squad that's here to get the best out of that squad. It's my job. So, I think if you had a blank checkbook, Philip Clement, then I'm sure there would be a lot more players that you would look to bring into the Rangers squad, but finances dictate, unfortunately. Let's look towards tonight's game then, Chris. You touched on there. The welcome news you've got to say of 2 players returning to training in James Tavernier and Lyall Cameron. It says they'll make an assessment today whether they can feature in the game. He also provided, a bit of an update. He was quizzed on Jack Butland and Dujon Sterling. He says, I've got a rough time schedule, but that's from me and the medical staff. So I'll tell you guys when the players are back. Like I say now directly. Also, I'm being open and honest that Tav and Leon just came back now. That's the best way to do it. So, good that Lyall Cameron and James Tavernier are back training. So I'm going to bring up our 2 teams, and folk can have send the abuse our way as soon as they see them getting popped up on the screen here. So this is Chris's side for tonight. So Chris going with a back four. Well, Kelly in goals, of course. Keeping Ridvan at right back. Pretty much the same team as started against St Johnstone, isn't it?
Surely I can't get too much criticism for that one. There's no outlandish calls in there. I think I would be surprised if there's too many alterations. There we go. See the positive vibes coming in already. I think it's as we touched on there. It's good that Tavernier is back in training. Good that Balogun's back in training. But when you've got Old Trafford to come next midweek, and then Tannadice and all the away form issues that are on the table at present, I don't really see it being much of a. It's not a night to be going risking them. And by the time you then get to Sunday against Fraserburgh, that's then a chance to give other players a bit of a game. I don't think there's any. You look at the bench from the weekend. There's nobody that's really banging on the door saying I deserve a chance. You look at it. Barron got his chance, didn't really take it up at Dundee. Cortez, who knows how good he is, how good he can be. There's still a lot on the a lot to be decided over Cortez. You look at Alex or Ross McCausland, he's not going to replace Cherney on that right hand side long term. So there's very, very few options. Certainly defensively, there's not enough options at present. Middle to front, there's not enough players there saying I deserve to start, because when I've had my chance, I've really taken it, and now I want another crack at it from the start of a game. So I think that's on form, on fitness, just on the kind of vibe round about Rangers right now. I think that will be the side. You maybe see Bayrami coming in for Danilo, but I think that'd be harsh. I think Danilo, his contribution far outweighs Bayrami of late. I think he has to do a lot more to get himself back in the side. You're then looking at changes during the game. If you need a bit more pace, a bit more width, that's where maybe Cortez comes in. It's a chance for him if he's in that left-hand side over Yanis Hadji. But apart from that, there's not really enough of them that are banging on that particular door at present. So I'd be surprised if I'm too far out. Come Sunday when we do this, when we play this particular game, and we try and predict the big 11, that could be slightly more tricky. You might get your wish of Adam Devine playing wide left or something on Sunday. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a game that not many people win, I've got to say. Guessing Big Phil's starting 11. We should have a prize, actually, if someone gets it bang on. We should have a bottle of wine or something on offer for the winner. Here is my starting 11 now. I've got to say, I agreed with you, Chris, prior to yesterday's press conference. That is a team I would have went with, given the manager's comments and given Ridvan's sort of dip in form after a really good game against Celtic. I think he's very much looked like a player playing out of position in the last few matches. So this is my team. If James Tavernier is fit enough, and I imagine he's busting a gut to feature in the game, he'll be... knowing James Tavernier, he'll want to start and make it an impact from the off. Then if he is able to do so, I've got him coming back in at right back. In the piece on the website, folks, I did give a shout to Leon King as well. And there was a comment that came in there saying, should Leon be in with a shout as well? He came off the bench, of course, in the previous match. And I think that is a decent shout for Leon to get game time at right back. I think he's comfortable enough there. But if James Tavernier is back and ready to play, then he should occupy that right back spot. And good that Maka is agreeing with me with regards to that. So no abuse coming my way. But I think it's good, not just... we all know about James Tavernier's limitations, Chris, but Rangers need a proper right back there. We can't go on with Ridvan playing there for much longer, even though I think he has... Well, the Celtic game, I thought he was really good. Last few games, not so much, but it'll be good having someone that knows the position back there. Leon Balogun's an interesting one for me as well, because remember, if just prior to the Celtic game, the manager said he had a very small chance of making that game. Hasn't really been seen since. You'd like to think that he can come in and make an impression at some point, but I agree with you. I think Clinton Enciala, I've been pretty content with his previous two games, Dundee and St Johnstone. not over. Dundee was tested more than against St Johnstone, of course. He's still a young lad learning the game. He's only now played 2 senior matches in professional football. But yeah, I'd be keeping that back 4. But good to have Balogun back in contention again.
I think you use these next couple of games to give Balogun and Tav the minutes they require to be fit for Old Trafford and to be fit for Tannadice, and then to be fit heading into the next tranche of games after that. It wouldn't be a massive surprise if Tav does start, because as you say, he'll want to start if he'll feel that if he's been through a session, then he'll want to play. I would still go with Ridvan just to start the game. If it then suits, maybe give Tav half an hour or so, depending how things go. Hopefully Rangers aren't called. I don't need to call upon Balogun through an injury situation, but if there's a chance to give him minutes, then it'd be good as he can perhaps give them both of them another half or half an hour against Fraserburgh at the weekend. So it's really just managing those two to get them back. So the manager asked about Sterling and Butland yesterday, didn't want to give away timelines on them, so I think we can certainly rule them out of tonight, all but rule them out of the next couple of games as well. So this is the squad that he's got. He's going to have to find a way to kind of manage it and get it through these games. Insiala, I think, has been fine. It was a difficult night to come in and make his debut up at Dens. Not a great Rangers performance overall. You know that Dundee carry a threat. I think they were able to kind of target him a wee bit. Perhaps a wee bit fortunate with the Simon Murray penalty incident as well. But I thought at the weekend he came through it fairly comfortably. But disappointed he didn't get a clean sheet. It's a really poor goal from Rangers to lose again, similar to the one at Hibs. Bashiri one just not defending the 6-yard box well enough, and then you go and lose a goal in a game that you're really comfortable in. But he can only get better. He can only improve the more he plays. He's playing alongside a really experienced centre half there and Robin Proper, so that should, for all our concerns and the faults that Proper has shown over this season, he has got a good leadership experience from his time in Holland, so he should be able to help Insala through these matches. So I think that's the partnership for tonight. It's not the long-term one. It's not the one that Clement is going to settle on. But while people are getting themselves back to fitness, then I think that's the one that he'll stick on. Just one like a final squad point for tonight. I'd like to see Bailey Rice on the bench. Something that I mentioned in my analysis piece on Sunday for the St Johnstone game. Something that Stevie actually asked the manager about, and Clement said, "Oh, it's easy in hindsight." It wasn't hindsight. We're talking. Me and Josh mentioned it pre-match on the show. A lot of people won't ever mention it in the press room ahead of that game as well. If Bailey Rice isn't at the level where he can come in and get game time against the team that's bottom of the league at Ibrox, then where is he in terms of his career? Every minute that Kieran Dowell gets that Bailey Rice doesn't, for me, that's just a waste right now. No disrespect to Dowell, but his Rangers career has just not worked out. He's not going to ever nail down one of those midfield spots and be a starter there. It's best for all concerns if he moves on. Rangers have to look to the future. Clement has said often enough in his tenure that he likes to give young players a chance. Games like this, certainly games like St Johnstone, has to be a game like Fraserburgh. You're then looking to see likes of Rice, likes of some of the younger guys from the B team getting that chance. Understand why the manager can be hesitant to do it, because ultimately his job's on the line, his position is up for huge debate. But I think we all fancied Rangers to win on Sunday relatively comfortably. Bailey Rice could easily have had 45 minutes under his belt on Sunday there. And when you look at the way that the manager has to kind of guide this squad through these games, he's spoken a lot about sports science and minutes and looking after players. You could have taken Rice off and put Rice on, and given Nico Raskin 45 minutes off. So that's something I think he has to look at. If Rice has got that promotion into the first team and the manager's talked him up in that way over the last couple of weeks, we now need to see it on the pitch.
It's a weird one because he comes on against Nice, but isn't trusted against St Johnstone, like you say, that the bottom club. Rangers cruising it in that game. And given the manager's comments prior to the Dundee game saying he'd be part of the dressing room after Dundee, that's why there's angst and frustration from the fan base because of what the manager says. You get excited that he's going to be getting game time and then he's nowhere to be seen. So, I'm with you, Chris. I would like to see him part of the substitutes bench tonight. Right, we'll wrap up there. We will have all the usual coverage from Ibrox tonight, folks, so we hope you can join us for that. We'll have the pre-match video and we'll have the post-match. We will try and go on the whistle as well, just after the final whistle. Also, let's hope Rangers can acquire another 3 points. How do you think Ibrox will be tonight, Chris? Because it was a very strange atmosphere at the weekend.
That's a really interesting one, and I asked the manager about that at the press conference yesterday, and he said that he hopes it's behind the team and he hopes that it's been like, you think back to the Old Firm game. It feels such a long time ago, but it's only a couple of weeks ago. I think it will be a bit more positive at the start, but it then depends on how Rangers start the game, depends what Aberdeen are able to do. If Aberdeen were to go ahead, I think it could turn quite quickly against Rangers. So Ibrox is a difficult place to play at the best of times, in times like this when there's so much frustration and anger and disappointment, a real great mix of emotions amongst the fans. It makes it, you're almost walking a tightrope at times. Mm-hmm. So really interesting to see what the crowd's like in terms of numbers. I think the attendance will be good. But what's the atmosphere like? What's the game mood round about the place? Because I think, as me and Josh touched on post-match on Sunday, and as the boys have said on the show the last couple of days, it was really strange at the weekend. It just didn't have any great spark about it. You're hearing that kind of murmur of conversation all around about the stadium rather than any backing for the team. It was a really strange day on and off the pitch. Yeah. Rangers can't really afford for another one tonight because Aberdeen, as I said earlier on, they're not in great form, but they will be able to punish Rangers more than St Johnstone ever looked like doing. So the manager's call for the crowd to get behind the team, but the team have to give the crowd something to get behind first and foremost.
Yes, agreed. Right, well, that'll do us there. Big thank you to you all, folks, for tuning in. As ever, it's much appreciated. Remember, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well. You'll never miss a video when we go live. As I touched on, we will be back. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff tonight, isn't it? Or is it? Yeah, 8 o'clock. So we'll be back about 7 o'clock tonight, folks, where we'll react to tonight's Rangers team. Maybe me and Chris will win a prize if we get it bang on. But no doubt there'll be a left field selection in there, given Philip Clement's history with starting 11s. But there you go. Right, we'll speak to you later, folks. Bye for now.